Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning into the Potterverse this Wednesday evening. You know how we like to roll. Hit that share button below and leave Expecto Patronum in the comments below. We truly appreciate you and helping more of your friends who appreciate and love Harry Potter and the books to come on over to the Potterverse.
Yeah, thank you everybody for patience. Tonight, our kids were driving us a little crazy, and we may or may not get a visit from one of them while we're down in the studio.
It's all good. It's all good.
Oh, man.
So while you're joining us here on this live, please, as always, let us know where you're tuning in from, what state, if you're in the United States, if you're outside of the U.S., what country you're tuning in from. And we're actually going to be tackling 2 chapters tonight. It's going to be a long time with the Potterverse. So first up, it's going to be about Quidditch. We are going to kind of do this in like 2 different, we'll tackle it chapter by chapter because they're such different things. The Quidditch question for you, we already talked about like what position you would like to play. So what do you think is a fun little Quidditch-themed question for our listeners to fill in as we get to know each other?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a really good question. I don't know.
What kind of food?
What kind of Quidditch... Sorry, go, no, you go. No,
I was just going to say, what kind of food would you like to eat while you're tailgating or watching the team? Think about college football games, what you would want to be eating or
for
drinking.
Quidditch, I feel like it has to be cake and sausage.
So let us know what would be your Quidditch snack in the comments.
That's a good one. That's
Thank
a good
you.
one. I was going to say, what would be your... Like, if you were going to a Quidditch match, what would be, like... Or if you were to take something home from a Quidditch match, what would it be? Like, you know how, like, I went to the World Series. I got our son a World Series baseball.
Yeah.
Like, what would you
what
take
kind of
home?
Swag
would
or
you
thing
be, like,
would you-
doing jerseys? Would you be doing, like, little Quidditch sticks? Something like that.
Okay.
So,
I dig it.
Yeah, I like that. So everybody, we'll be doing 2 chapters this evening just because we weren't able to do on Monday. But we want to keep everything going and keep the steam full steam ahead.
The 2 chapter a week steam. We've got this. So we're going to tackle Quidditch first, and then we'll go into the Mirror of Erised second.
Yes.
So join us. Hit that shared button, whether you're on Facebook. You can head on over to the Mary and Blake page, of course, to share that. If you're on Twitter, you can retweet. YouTube, you can share however you'd like. And don't forget to write below Expecto Patronum.
Yes, give me all the Expecto Patronums out there, letting us know that you shared this with all your Outlander nerd, Harry Potter nerd friends, all the Potterheads out there.
All the Potterheads.
Keep sharing, share it out there. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Everyone, Mary, is saying that your hair is on fire. They got hair envy.
Well, it's a little wild right now. I've been trying to embrace my natural wave.
If you've been following the Mary and Blake page, you'll notice that Mary has been having some trials with her hair over the past 3 or 4
Trials and
days.
tribulations.
She's been doing a little bit of a new curly girl method, and it is definitely working.
It's there. It's there.
All right, so there we go. Let's make a podcast, shall we, darling?
Yes, we shall.
All right. If I could find my mouse, there
I
it
want
is.
to thank Suzanne. Let's see who else we got. Oh, I want to thank people before we hit
Oh,
record.
yeah, okay, go ahead.
All right, so Suzanne, thank you. Let's see. I can't see all the comments on my phone, sadly. You're going to have to scroll up so we can thank people for sharing and putting Expecto Patronum below. Michelle, thank you so much. Veronica, so sweet. Let's see. Any more Expecto Patronums?
Yeah, Caitlin, there we go. Thank you very much, Expecto Patronum.
Thank you for
Rebecca,
sharing.
thank you so much. Cassie, thank you so much. Kyle Ann, thank you. We got tons of them in here. So
thank you,
we got a lot of
everybody.
Expecto Patronums.
Really
If we didn't get
appreciate
it, Anna, thank you, Expecto Patronum. Thank you. If we didn't get to you, that's okay. I apologize. Perhaps next week we will get to you.
Thank you,
Allison,
Anna. Thanks,
Expecto
Allison.
Patronum. All right. Marvin, let's make a podcast, shall
Yes,
we?
we shall.
All right, 10 seconds for...
Room tone.
Let's do it.
This episode of the Potterverse is brought to you by MinuteWithMary.com. And guess what? it's a brand new month, which means that we have a brand new special at Minute with Mary for you, our very valued podcast listeners. So I had a brand new product come out in July. It's eye cream. I don't know about you, but I look tired after being in quarantine and dealing with the pandemic for so long. And so eye cream is one of the biggest blessings in my life right now because the part of my face that does show is my eyes. Okay, so I need my eyes to look fantastic because I'm going to feel fantastic if it looks a little bit more perky than how I feel. So this eye cream is amazing. It's going to tighten and brighten. So if you have darkness, if you have fine lines, it's already gotten rid of like one of the folds underneath my eyes. I've been really, really impressed. You can get yours at 15% off by going to minutewithmary.com/discount. From Providence, Rhode Island, welcome to the Potterverse. It's a podcast dedicated to the book and film universe of Harry Potter. So grab your favorite wands and time turners. Let's step into the night and pursue that flighty temptress adventure. And welcome. My name's Mary Larson.
My name's Blake, and I will admit that when I read chapter 12, I may or may not have shed a tear or 300.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Absolutely.
Oh, honey, we're talking about chapter 11 right now.
Well, we're doing 11 and 12.
No.
No?
We're doing 11 right now. We got to focus.
Well, I'm saying we're talking about chapters 11 and 12 today, right? No? Okay, we're doing chapter.
Fine.
I thought we were talking about chapters 11 and 12 today. That's what I have written down.
I know. I thought it was going to be two separate things. So we would talk about 11 first, then 12 second, and then you just went with your idea.
Oh, well.
No, it's fine. Yes, chapter 12, you shed a tear. Tell me more, Blake. Who cares about Quidditch?
No. We can totally talk about Quidditch. I got no problem talking about Quidditch. It's Quidditch all day. I thought we were combining both.
I would like to be two separate episodes.
Okay, we are doing two separate episodes then. Fair enough. All right, so.
Edit that out, baby. For those of you tuning in live.
Oh, man.
We had this conversation in the car. We should do it this way. We should do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
We should decide before we press record. We learned something new about ourselves.
Not great.
Oh my God. Okay.
Anna here says, not great, Bob.
So how do you feel about chapter 11, Blake?
Hold on. I need a clean edit line
All right,
here.
Here we go.
Hold on. No. I'll do it.
I'm Mary.
No, I said no. Hold on. You don't need you. I need me. Live podcasting, ladies and gents. Oh, my God. Oh. My name's Blake, and I think I would be the biggest Quidditch dork on the planet.
Oh, agreed. You would have all the different posters hung up on your wall. You would have the jerseys. You would have like broken bits of broom.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, oh my God, a little twig fell. I'm gonna go scurry onto the pitch and pick it up.
I would be a disaster with Quidditch. I think yes, absolutely. And when I consider how I am with baseball and football, it'd be like if I were dating like some little witch girl, it'd be like, no, it's Quidditch Day.
It's Quidditch Day, girl.
It's Quidditch Day.
Back up.
I got to get myself ready. I got to get involved. I got to get my mental game ready, prepared. We got to get some cake and sausage ready for the tailgate. we got things, okay? Don't mess with me. I don't care how many chores we got to do. On Saturday, it's Quidditch Day. That would be me. Absolutely me.
I love you. I love your deal. You would, though.
Yeah,
I
of course.
100% agree. That would be you. So here we are. We're talking about Chapter 11, Quidditch. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge to all of our friends who joined us live for that moment. And here we are. It starts things off saying, as they entered November. Can we just pause for a moment?
Sure.
This takes place in the United Kingdom. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cold in November and December and January and February, and this is when they want to be outside. This is football season, baby. Mm-hmm. But, like, on brooms.
Definitely not warm right now.
No. For some reason in my mind, I've just always pictured, you know what it is? It's the movies. Because I don't picture them being super duper bundled up while they're playing. There is a couple of scenes where it's a bit cold and windy and blustery. But really, it takes place on like sunny, nice days. And I just expected it to be like 67 degrees outside. No, it is a November where the weather turned very cold. That is literally the first sentence. But, you know, I usually read a wee quote from the chapter.
Yes.
So I wanted to read. It's actually not. Here we go. Turn my page. I got all thrown off. Okay. Harry was speeding toward the ground when the crowd saw him clap his hand to his mouth as though he was about to be sick. He hit the field on all fours, coughed, and something gold fell into his hand. I got the snitch, he shouted, waving it above his head, and the game ended in complete confusion. He didn't catch it. He nearly swallowed it. Flint was still howling 20 minutes later, but it made no difference. Harry hadn't broken any rules, and Lee Jordan was still happily shouting the results. Gryffindor had won by 170 points to 60. Harry heard none of this, though. He was being made a cup of strong tea back at Hagrid's hut with Ron and Hermione. And then the next sentence I love. It was Snape, Ron was explaining. Hermione and I saw him.
Oh, yeah. So,
yes.
You know, this is an indication that not only does Harry really hate Snape, but Harry's hatred of Snape is starting to blind Ron and Hermione as well.
Well, now they've got proof. You know what I mean? Like this is the chapter where our suspicions of Snape have a lot of substantial evidence to them. You know, before it was just a bad feeling. Snape didn't like him. But in this chapter, you know, we're of course getting excited about Quidditch, and Hermione gives Harry the Quidditch Through the Ages, but Harry goes to go get his book that Snape lent him, and he walks in on Snape being helped by Filch, and Snape is saying, "Blasted thing, how are you supposed to keep your eyes on all three heads at once?" So Harry shut the door quietly, but of course he kind of got caught a little bit there. But like, Harry hears proof that Snape was trying to be near the three-headed dog on Halloween night.
Yeah, it's still a little bit of a stretch. It's still...
What's a little bit of a stretch? He was with the three-headed dog on Halloween night.
That's true. I mean, that's...
Not a stretch. Fact.
Fact, not opinion.
Fact. And then as we're playing with Quidditch,
as we are wont to say at Mary and Blake Media, fact, not opinion.
as we go on to play Quidditch, of course, you know, Harry's broom goes all sorts of crazy, and Hermione looks over and sees Snape mumbling stuff. She runs on over, jostles a few people on the way, Quirrell, and as she gets there, she, you know, makes the little spell of fire and stops Snape from reciting an incantation because he was casting a spell at that moment.
Yeah, but what was the spell?
I don't know, and neither do we ever find out what the exact spell is.
Erroneous. All erroneous, circumstantial.
No. So here we are. Yes, Potter's opinion.
Victoria agrees with me. Circumstantial evidence.
Potter's opinion of Snape has started to rub off. Ron hates him anyway, okay? Ron is all bros with Harry. Like,
yes.
If Harry doesn't like somebody, Ron's got his back. The shocking thing is Hermione. Hermione sees Snape doing this.
All right. Well, before we get into the nitty gritty of all this, just want to remind you. Thank you guys for listening. And all. Mary's not following the document, ladies and gents. I'm getting some evil eye at this moment. Wanted to remind you to go to maryandblake.com. Wanted to remind you to maryandblake.com. Check out all the great stuff that we got going on there. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can go to Mary and Blake on all the social media channels. Just look us up, Mary and Blake. Thank you for all the reviews as well. By the way, we got a slew of reviews in over the past week or so.
Hey, thanks.
So I think we're heading up there, and I'm very happy. Moving on up to the east side. So, Marvin, are you ready to get into the rest of the show?
I truly am.
Then now we can do the rest of the stuff that you want to talk about. If you want to convince me that it's not circumstantial, we can do that.
I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good.
So in this chapter, without any prior knowledge of having watched the films, of read the other books, as of this chapter, chapter 11, Snape would be found guilty. Okay? In my opinion, and in Harry's opinion, Dumbledore said, nobody's supposed to go into the third floor corridor. Harry, Ron, Hermione, Neville know why, because there's a three-headed dog there. Halloween night, a troll was let into the building. And, Harry finds out that on that same night, Snape was trying to hang out with that three-headed dog and give him a little bit of boo-boo. And then add
A little bit of a boo-boo.
a wee bit of a boo-boo. And then Snape is saying an incantation, looking at Harry while he's playing Quidditch, and his broom's going
But
wonky.
remember, my darling, the perspective that you're getting is a flawed perspective. The narrator of this book right now is a flawed narrator. And the funny thing, well, I can't say narrator, but the perspective that we're in is a flawed perspective. And that's because we are in Harry's perspective. Anything that Snape does will be colored in a way that makes him look guilty. Anytime, for anything that he does. Granted, there are things that he does in this chapter that are bad. I mean, Snape straight up makes up rules just to get at Harry and take away points from Gryffindor. Like, straight up just does whatever the hell he wants.
Takes away 5 points, which is the same amount of points that he just earned for knocking out a mountain troll.
Exactly.
Poor Harry. Poor Harry. So, we'll continue to have discussions about Snape, but let's hang here in Quidditch, because this is something that Harry excels at. He's so incredibly excited about. Rumor, of course, got around the entire school all too quickly that Harry was playing Quidditch. And of course, as I said, Hermione gives him this book. They're quite excited. Oh, that was the book. It was the Quidditch Through the Ages.
Yes.
Yeah, jerk. Snape thinks a lot. And he's just really excited. They talk about food. Can we just savor for a moment the
Let's
Great
do it.
Hall? Okay. The next morning dawned very bright and cold. The Great Hall was full of the delicious smell of fried sausages and cheerful chatter of everyone looking forward to a good Quidditch match.
Told you, sausage. That's where it's at. For your here on your tailgate for Quidditch. Do you fly? Do you how in the football tailgate people will throw footballs and they'll do whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Do you fly in brooms and do you run around?
I bet kids have little pretend brooms and they run around in the, I don't know, because where do you tailgate when you do Quidditch? Because you don't need to drive your car there. You're taking flu powder, you're apparating, maybe you're driving a broom there yourself, maybe affording. I'm terrible with how to say that car's name.
What?
The Anglia of the Ford, the blue car.
Oh, the Anglia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was saying it right.
Yeah.
Anglia. It feels weird to say.
Do you think the
Anglia.
Quidditchados are out there on their brooms who are 45, 50 years old who really shouldn't be on brooms?
They're still squeezing into their
their
Hogwarts
old robes.
old robes and they're frayed and the pit stains, but they're still so proud. So proud.
They're into it. They're wearing their captain's shirt. They got do you think they have Quidditch townies that just remember back to the good old days Al Bundy?
We get to hang out with one of my besties in these books, Lee Jordan, who is just such an amazing and obnoxious commentator. I do find it fun that they had a student who is from the house that's playing. You'd think that they would have a student commentator from each house, and then as teams are playing, they would pick someone else. Why wouldn't they have a student commentator from Hufflepuff or from Ravenclaw MC this game? Obviously, whoever is MCing is going to slant the commentary towards their team.
More favoritism towards Gryffindor. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
Probably Professor McGonagall picked the commentator.
Of course she did.
I mean, let's be real. Lee Jordan's super fun, and probably everyone loves his commentary except the Slytherins, because Gryffindors win anyway. So Hagrid, of course, comes, and I love how he says, "I've been watching from my hut." How? How, Hagrid? How have you been watching from your hut? Because I gotta tell you, at least in the movies, the Quidditch pitch is far away, and Hagrid's hut is in a little valley.
Maybe he's got them. No, he's in the crowd.
No, he comes in later and he says, "Budge up there, move along." And he says he's been watching from my hut. So he had some special kind of device to like portray it. Because when I read that, I was like, Hagrid, no, you weren't. Maybe you could hear it from your hut. But how the heck did you see it, buddy? So of course, they're flying all around. And they get this issue with the broom. And mind you, Harry's been practicing. He's been practicing undercover, which is really cool. That Wood didn't want truly the secret of his new seeker to be out. But Harry innately knows how to fly this thing, and he knows right away that the broom is not responding to his cues. So it's pretty. Just imagine how scary that is, especially for someone like Harry, who wasn't raised flying, who, mind you, he saw that Neville had a broken wrist and that, it was easily fixed. But like, I don't know, I'd be really, really scared that high in the air, not knowing if Madame Pomfrey would be able to put me back together again, not knowing, resto momentum would be shouted. Do you know what I mean? Just the fear for this, once again, 11-year-old.
Just out there, just playing a game that he should not be playing from the jump. One of the things that comes out of this, too, is that once again, Hagrid defends Snape. Once again, Hagrid's like, no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't try to steal something. Actually, no, wait, I'm sorry. This is Hermione. Hermione is saying this. I apologize. Never mind.
Hey, no, I got you.
Wow. Messed that up.
And then Hermione, of course, is the one that's able to kind of save the day. Later on, the trio is in Hagrid's hut. So this is also too, like, we had that moment with Neville where he saw the three-headed dog, and he's just never brought it back up again. I do hear footsteps. I just love, a couple of things have gone on, and Neville's just pieced out when it comes to these kind of conversations or hanging out with these crazy, dangerous people. So here they are in his hut, and Ron's saying, it was Snape. Hermione and I both saw him. And Hagrid just kind of like lets it drop a little bit. Harry says the three-headed dog, and Hagrid brings up Fluffy. And what's really cool is that Fluffy was bought off from a Greek chappie that he met in a pub last year. I lent him to Dumbledore to guard. Like, where have you been keeping Fluffy?
Yeah, like, where do you just have a space for him? Is he next to Aragog?
Is there like a doggy daycare that fits mythical dogs? What's cool is that, like, three-headed dogs, it's in Greek, like, folklore and myths. And so it's interesting that, like, a three-headed dog is interwoven into this story, but that he got it from a Greek chappie.
Yeah, that's really cool. Another bit of cool little detailed world building from the author, who is, again, very good at this kind of stuff. Very, like, has such immense talent with this this texture. And like a Greek guy just having this three-headed dog. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah. And like you were saying, Hermione then goes kind of head-to-head with Hagrid. Once again, 11-year-old child going head-to-head with this adult saying, like, no, I know a jinx when I see one, Hagrid. Mind you, Hermione's Muggle-born. She's only been in school for 2.5 months.
Sure.
But she knows a jinx when she's seen one.
Well, because she's a know-it-all.
Because I've read all about them. You have to be keeping eye contact. Yeah, so this is just another sign, exactly, that she does come off a bit like a know-it-all. She did know that he was saying a spell. And this is when Hagrid drops. There's nothing that you need to meddle with. This is just between Professor Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel.
Oh, and that's something that he should not be dropping. Hagrid cannot shut his mouth. He
should not be in the circle of trust.
He should be. It should be the circle of trust right here, and Hagrid out on Maz.
Poor thing.
Dropping Nicholas Flamel's name, which is really important because Nicholas Flamel was actually a real guy. He is a real person, Nicholas Flamel, in real life. He's a real alchemist. In the 1300s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's a real dude. So it's important. And it goes to show you. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that Dumbledore was alive in the 1300s, but it goes to show you the age that Dumbledore has and the kind of reach that he has. But you mentioned the jinx on the broom, Mary, and that's really important. Is this? We know that it's Quirrell who's doing the jinx. But is it actually Voldemort that's doing the jinx?
Ooh.
Is this Voldemort's first, like, pitch or first attempt at not trying to kill Harry necessarily? I mean, maybe kill him, but is it his first attempt to get Harry out of the way?
Well, I mean, it's definitely influenced by Voldemort. I doubt Quirrell pre-possessed by Voldemort would have chosen to do this. But Voldemort is in charge of him. I don't know if one could say it was like the Imperious Curse. To be honest, I don't fully understand the technicalities of how Quirrell is manipulated by Lord Voldemort.
Sure.
You know, like, is it because he's on the back of his head that he has access to his brain, or was he able to do the Imperious Curse? So I don't think of Quirrell as Quirrell. You know what I see him as a puppet for Voldemort at this point.
Yeah, and that's why I'm wondering, does Voldemort sense Harry, number one? And number two, does he sense Harry in a way that he realizes this is bad for me?
Yeah.
This is the kind of person that, this is the person that put an end to me, and he senses that power. Do I need to extinguish this flame
That's
right now?
why he chose Quirrell. Voldemort could have chosen to sneak on anybody.
Sure.
Literally, body. Get it? Anybody? But he chose a professor at Hogwarts that teaches first years.
Right.
He went back to Hogwarts because he wants to eradicate Harry Potter.
Sure. And it's great because Hermione, once again, for the sake of Harry, is doing something that is totally beyond her character, something that she never would have done before, which is literally light Professor Snape on fire. Like, I feel like there are less, like torturous things you can do to somebody than to light them on fire.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines about this, Hermione had become a bit more relaxed about breaking the rules since Harry and Ron had saved her from the mountain troll, and she was much nicer for it. Like,
Yes.
Exactly. She's just like, whatevs. I'll
Right.
put a teacher on fire. This will be absolutely fine.
But she's breaking the rules, and she's breaking the rules in a way that, again, it feels justified. She's protecting Harry. Both she and Ron are there for Harry. And another funny thing happens too. She essentially knocks over Quirrell, which, again, the blindness of it all is that, yes, Hermione knocks Quirrell over, which is a bit, if you wanted to make the case, if you wanted to squint at it real tight, you could say that's foreshadowing. But the blindness of it all is that, oh yeah, I lit Snape on fire, but she's not considering the fact that she knocked Quirrell over.
Correct.
So obviously it has to be Snape. I lit him on fire. Of course he was the one doing the jinx.
Any of us would make that assumption, especially being 11 years old. Had these things happen, and that's why you can read it, and because the first time you read this book, you don't know the truth, you don't know the outcome. So by reading this, you got some pretty interesting facts laid up against Snape. So this, of course, wets the whistle for the trio to want to learn more about Nicholas Flamel. Harry is excited about his Quidditch win, where he swallowed the snitch, by the way.
Sure.
This is the first snitch he's ever caught. He swallows it, and that's an important point for later on in the books. But it solidifies these three once again that something bigger is going on, and they are hungry to figure it out.
And not only are they hungry to figure it out, but they're in the middle of it. I mean, they are smack dab right in the middle of it. And there are a couple of things that I do want to bring up here, which are consequences. There are no real consequences for the trio in this case. I mean, Harry really shouldn't have any. I mean, he's out there doing Quidditch and he's winning. But there's nothing for Ron, and there's no textual consequence for Hermione lighting a professor on fire and knocking a professor over.
I think it's a perfect Gryffindor move. You don't have to think it through. Just help that person. If it can help somebody, try it out.
Yep. just give it. Just jump right in. Don't even think about it. Just do it.
I mean, honestly, I think I would have done the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have seen my friend dangling by his fingertips and seen someone who I didn't think so well about, who I thought was coming after my friend, who I know was attacked by the three-headed dog, very mysterious, see him doing the jinx,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I would have done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing that happens here too is there. First of all, the author does an incredible job at keeping Quidditch, the game itself, interesting. It's hard. It's not only is it hard, it's incredibly daunting to write anything about sports, especially a fast-moving sport.
A fast-moving fictional sport that we've never seen.
No one's ever seen it. No one knows how to even comprehend it. At the time, we didn't have the films. At the time, we didn't have the
Muggle Quidditch at college universities.
We didn't have the illustrated version. It was just words on a page. That was it. Yet the author keeps Quidditch interesting.
Yes.
And you get this amazing, again, tactile way to interpret Quidditch. And something that I really love, and at the end of this chapter, Harry says, "I've got the snitch," he shouted, waving it above his head, and the game ended in complete confusion. But then she goes on and she says this really interesting thing. He didn't catch it. He nearly swallowed it. Flint was still howling 20 minutes later, but it made no difference. Harry hadn't broken any rules, and Lee Jordan was still happily shouting the result. Gryffindor had won by 170 points to 60, which, by the way, let's just go over that logic real quick. 150 points goes to the
seeker,
snitch,
when
the
you get
seeker.
the snitch,
Right.
yes.
So they were losing 60 to 20.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the game's over. They went 170
Harry
to
swallows
60.
the snitch. They're the winners.
Harry
Flint had cheated, so fine.
Harry had heard none of this, though. He was being made a cup of strong tea back in Hagrid's hut with Ron and Hermione. And then from there, it goes from...
I like that you and I read the same passage.
Oh, it's
It's so important.
It's so important on multiple levels. One, because there is this POV switch that is a really like sharp POV switch, and it happens a couple of times in this chapter. And I don't know if that is a good thing or if that's a bad thing. So number one, I'd like to get your opinion on that. And number two, it immediately goes from that to it was Snape. There's no transition. There's nothing. It's just a boom. Just a sharp turn, and you get that sense that Snape is the bad guy. But why? Why is Harry not celebrating? What pulled him from the celebration?
I'll tell you what. Yes, very exciting. I won a game. I almost just died. And my friends are telling me that Snape was jinxing me and that it wasn't until Hermione set him on fire that it stopped. And while we're at it, I just overheard him saying that he was trying to get by the three-headed dog.
Yeah, but none of this occurs.
What do you mean none of what occurs?
None of this occurs. I mean, they go from winning the game, winning the match, to Harry saying, I got the thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, hut.
That's it. Yeah, they don't want to celebrate. They're ready to piece this together because that was really scary.
Yeah, but something about Harry, to me, would suggest that this is his thing. This is what he has accomplished. Whether or not it was fortuitous that he just happened to almost swallow the snitch, that aside, he still won. Flying is his thing. An exception has been made for him to be part of the Quidditch team. Being a Gryffindor, he earned it. He is not one to turn fame. I mean,
so if Harry was a Slytherin, I agree with you. I think he would have gone back to the common room, and I think he would be having some celebrations. Maybe Lavender Brown would make out with him for a little bit. It was like a congratulations thing.
That hussy.
I have no idea. But Harry for as long as we've now known him at Hogwarts, has been feeling something very wrong and very unfair about Professor Snape. And one of the big things, of course, that's important to Gryffindors is people being fair. And he was just treated very unfairly. He was just, during his first big game, he was also put in trouble. And he knows that people are in trouble, that there's a three-headed dog here. There's something that's supposed to be protected that's important, and people are in trouble. So he is putting the greater good ahead of himself.
I think that's a fair assessment. I just wonder, he is 11 years old.
Harry very rarely, though, thinks of himself. He doesn't like being the chosen one. There's only like in the sixth book when like a lot of girls like him that he's like,
yeah,
oh, this is
I
kind
am
of
the chosen
cool.
one.
But aside from that, this is all still so new to him, and really like part of Harry's core is to right wrongs and is to find solutions and answers, and that is more important to him than fame and glory.
Okay. I don't buy it. I'm not
I know, it's
like,
because you're a Slytherin.
I'm not 100% like sold, but I'm willing to have that conversation. I'm willing to listen to you.
He almost just died, and he wants to talk about it and digest it with his friends with a strong cup of tea, because that was really scary.
Fair enough. Do you want to take a different perspective on this chapter, my darling, or if you have anything else to go?
A different perspective. Let's go for Snape.
Okay, what do you got?
Okay, so spoilers, we're going to talk about things from Snape's perspective. So if you don't really want to talk about this, here's your warning. So here we are with Snape, and he's tried to get in through to Fluffy, gets injured, and feels comfortable going to Filch. Why wouldn't he go to Madame Pomfrey? Why wouldn't he know how to solve this problem himself? Why would he go to speak to Filch?
Because Filch has... That's a good question.
Is it because Filch won't ask questions? That's what I was wondering. I feel like Madame Pomfrey is just like a nosy nurse and would kind of like putz around and mention, because nobody else seems to be in on this, that Snape, like you don't get the gist that Professor McGonagall knows that Snape hung out with Fluffy and was trying to do something Halloween night, aka Stop Quirrell. You don't get that sense. And I feel like Filch just, like, he knows what's happening. He knows about Fluffy. He knows that there's stuff there. And I feel like Snape would be like, this guy can just keep it to himself. He doesn't have any friends to tell him to over like coffee one day. So he's trying to get fixed. It's this vulnerable moment of his. And who but the one child that he does not want to see pops in? Harry frickin' Potter.
Harry freaking Potter. That's got to be our new drop.
A little, yeah.
That's got to be our new drop.
So he comes on in and overhears what he says. He, of course, had taken away his book because it was from the library. He just like hates this kid. So just like how Harry innately hates him, he has the same feeling. And it makes me think about, you just get that bad vibe from somebody, you meet them and you're like, oh, we are magnets, but the wrong side of the magnet.
Absolutely.
Like, this is not going to click. And how awkward that must be for him as a teacher who's taught kids for, many, many years. Like, this is an 11-year-old kid who rubs him so the wrong way.
Yeah, and it's not the kid's fault. It's his dad's fault. The kid's dad's fault.
But Harry also gives him bad vibes. Harry's not like, hi, Professor Snape, I can't wait to learn from you.
But is Harry giving him bad vibes because
it's
Snape,
chicken and egg?
Is Snape the one that's giving the bad vibes off? My recollection from the Potions Master wasn't that, Harry just all of a sudden,
No, it was Snape.
Yeah, it was Snape.
A new celebrity.
Yeah,
it was Snape.
And then, of course, as soon as that happens, then immediately Harry's going to start acting the way that he's going to start acting. And not only is Harry associating Snape with hatred, but he's also associating Snape with, when you look at it very closely, he's associating Snape with greed. it must be that he was there to steal whatever Fluffy was guarding.
I see him associated just with this broad sense of Slytherin. You know, all of his interactions with Draco Malfoy, the lying, the greediness, the spoiled, the fact that they've gone bad, and then everything he's just known in general about Slytherin.
Sure.
And he knows that Snape's a Slytherin, that he's the house of Slytherin, you know, just kind of encapsulates all of that. And then we, of course, have the Quidditch match. So... how did this awkward situation happen where Snape has to sit next to Quirrell, make small talk about Quidditch, eat some sausages together, you know, maybe share some like hot ham pockets
What I
want to
know is if Snape's sitting next to Quirrell and they're sitting that close,
yeah.
Don't that guy smell? Like, I wouldn't want to be around that guy at
Yeah,
all.
they did say he smelled.
That's
they
what I'm
said
saying.
that Quirrell smelled really bad.
That's what I'm saying. If I'm Snape, I wouldn't want to be around that guy.
He always has a cold. He can't smell.
Right. So
No.
if that's the case,
You're not understanding Alan Rickman's voice. Sounds like he always has a stuffy nose.
if that's the case, then it makes you feel like Quirrell and Snape got a little bit more going on that the text isn't showing you. Because why is Snape sitting so close to Quirrell?
To keep his eye on Quirrell because he knows that Quirrell just tried to get into Fluffy.
Oh, good point. Okay, fair enough. You're right. Forgot.
But it makes you wonder, why wouldn't Snape just go tell Dumbledore? Snape, I think, wants to... The Slytherin pride, I want to win and I want to celebrate this. I think that's what keeps Snape from holding out that, ooh, I almost caught him getting into, you know, the third floor corridor. And then he's sitting next to him at Quidditch. He's sitting next, he chose to sit next to him.
Yep.
Okay, he could have said anywhere else, but he's choosing to sit next to Quirrell and to keep an eye on him, sees Quirrell doing a jinx on Harry. Rather than turning around and being like, excuse me, faculty, this guy's being crazy and is jinxing Harry Potter, he tries to counter-curse him.
Right.
Why? Other than just to be able to catch him himself and, like, stop him?
Well, I again, we get into narrative force. The book needs Quirrell to keep going because if Snape automatically outs him, the book's over. Right? All of the stuff that's happening is no longer valid. So there is a little bit of convenience there that Snape is the one that knows this stuff and isn't doing anything. Yet, I feel like there's some textual evidence to the fact that Snape wants the Defense Against the Dark Arts job. And perhaps if he outs Quirrell too soon, no one's going to believe him. But if he catches him and he really like nails him, then maybe Dumbledore will give him the Defense Against the Dark Arts.
No.
No?
No.
Why not?
Well, because Snape knows that Quirrell's bad, and Dumbledore knows that Quirrell's bad.
Okay.
They're just baiting Dumbledore. It's not necessarily I want to do that. They're just baiting Voldemort. Like, it's not a job thing. That's what's so tough for Snape.
Yeah, but Dumbledore doesn't know that
Yes,
Snape.
he does.
He knows that Snape is Snape. He knows that Voldemort is on Quirrell's head.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair
Yes.
enough. Okay. All right. I'll take it.
Dumbledore knows what's up with Quirrell. He's using Harry as bait this entire time.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
he tells
Gotcha.
Snape to watch out for Quirrell.
Yep. Gotcha.
And they need these things to unfold, which is why, you know, as we're going to find out in the next chapter, more things unfold.
So Kate asks, does he really know what is the evidence on Facebook? The thing that we're not privy to at this moment, because textually there is no evidence suggesting that Dumbledore knows, number one, and there's no evidence suggesting that that Snape knows, number two. But we do get that in what it was in one of it was one of the memories, right?
I think he knows something's up.
Yes. But
I
no,
think
like
he knows something's up.
There is something that happens in later books where it's like, hey, keep an eye on Quirrell. Something's up with him.
Yeah.
And it's Dumbledore talking to Snape.
Yeah.
I remember that distinctly.
I don't think he's like Voldemort's hanging out in the back of his head.
Right.
But I think they know something's fishy's up. And I think that they know they're baiting. I know they're baiting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what this all is. It's all sadly like this trap that if he is out there, we're going to find a way to lure him and catch him.
Yep.
And he knows that something is not quite right with Quirrell.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Which It is. It's the tough thing for me right now because it's like, are Snape and Dumbledore having conversations right now? Like when Hagrid's having tea with Hagrid, is Snape going to Dumbledore's office being like, yeah, so, you told me to keep my eye on Quirrell? Can I tell you what happened the past 2 days? Like,
Right.
Can we have a write-up on this guy?
So Kate is on Facebook is following up saying they don't really know. Like they don't really know that it's Voldemort on Quirrell's head. I imagine that's what she's referring to.
I think he knows something's off.
No, he
though.
knows that something is off because we get that memory later on. I don't remember what book and I don't remember what film it was. But Dumbledore absolutely tells Snape to keep an eye on Quirrell. Absolutely.
Let me see.
Rebecca says Dumbledore knows too much. It's so annoying. He irritates me. He basically treats Harry like crap, in essence, for the whole series.
Well, don't ask Reddit, because Reddit's like, Dumbledore knew. Okay, don't ask the Reddit.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, I'll have to, we'll come back and we'll do some more research on this, because I know he knows something's off.
Absolutely. I remember that specifically. And I know I've said that now a number of times. And Kate says something off does not equal knowing. Kate, good point.
Thank you, Kate. Clarification.
Okay. There are no emails for this particular chapter.
Because it's basic.
Yeah, this is when the book starts to get a little basic. Although the next chapter is an exception.
Yes.
Next chapter is an exception, and it speaks volumes about our characters on multiple levels. But the book here starts to like take some detours that I wonder if it was really necessary to have. The Mirror of Erised is important, and it's important for a number of reasons. But like Nicholas Flamel and Norwegian Ridgeback and all of those, I'm not,
We're gonna get into it. So on that note,
yes, we're going to get into it. So, how do you want to handle this, Mary? Because
we're going to close this episode, staying live, start the new episode.
Okay, so for those of you who are live with us right now, I'm going to edit all of this particular part out for the podcast. For those of you who are with us live, stick with us. We're going to close the podcast. And then we are going to do a whole new open, a whole new intro, and everything for the next chapter. So stick with us, okay? All right, Marvin, you ready to close this bad boy out?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of the Potterverse. We will clear up some confusion on my end about Dumbledore and knowing. You can tell my taste of Dumbledore has soured over time. The poor guy. It's not that it's soured. It's just multidimensional right now. But thank you. Thank you for tuning in. We are so blessed to have you coming on over and listening to each of these episodes.
Yes, thank you guys so much. Again, go to MaryandBlake.com. Check out all of the great podcasts that we have there, all the great blogs that we have going on there. Check out us on the social media webs. Just look up Mary and Blake on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of it. We're there. We're having fun. And if you find any value in what we do here, go to jointhenerdclan.com. Help support Mary and Blake Media in all of the efforts that we're trying to do. There is rumor that I may be doing Midnight Sun and Blake's Book Club. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what happens. We're just going to throw it out there.
We are. So on that note, my name's Mary.
My name's Blake.
Mischief managed. All right, guys, we're starting the next podcast episode where we're talking about the Mirror of Erised. I see that a lot of people feel strongly one way or another about Dumbledore. I have such conflicting feelings. Like, there's moments where I love this sweet and wonky man, and then there's other moments where I feel like Harry in book 7, where I feel like I don't even know this man.
Angela says she did have a question for us. Apparently, Angela, I'm sorry, I did not see the question. So there are things happening in our house right now.
Our cat's
Oh,
going
it's got to be the
wild.
cat. Okay. Angela, I'm sorry that we didn't get to your question. Do me a favor. When we get to the next question time, have the question written and put it in the comments, and we will answer it, okay? Because we do have a couple of emails for this next chapter. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do.
You ready to rock and roll? Next chapter?
Let's do it. Hold on one
Yeah.
second. Let me just get to my place in the book here, the Mirror of Erised. Okay, here we
You
go.
guys ready? Double header.
So thank you, everybody, for being patient with us during this whole process. You get a chance to see how it all looks and what we do with this. All right, let's do it, Marvin.
This episode of the Potterverse.
We'll redo that.
Oh.
Oh, we'll redo that.
This episode of the Potterverse is brought to you by MinuteWithMary.com. Here we are in the month of August, and my treat for you is a 15% off discount on my new eye cream. I know that many of us are wearing face masks nowadays, so our eyes are really kind of like the main part of our face that's showing. And if you feel like your eyes look a little dull or dark or have some fine lines or bags that you want to work on, my eye cream is bananas good. It's going to help brighten and tighten those under eyes. It's going to help with the fine lines around your eyes. So check it out now. You can actually go to minutewithmary.com/discount to grab your eye cream at 15% off. From Providence, Rhode Island, welcome to the Potterverse. It's a podcast dedicated to the book and film universe of Harry Potter. So grab your favorite wands and time turners. Let's step into the night and pursue that flighty temptress adventure. Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name's Mary Larson.
My name is Blake, and I
My name is Blake.
am not ashamed to admit that I shed a tear or 30 during this chapter.
It's a good one.
This chapter was a special one for me.
This
Oh
is
my
what
goodness.
gets you hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, this one is a very special one just because it gives you so many incredible layers to each of these characters on multiple levels and in ways that you're not thinking, by the way. So, I love this chapter. It was just great. The Mirror of Erised is a concoction of mysticism and magic and love and hate and everything all combined into one that makes it such a special artifact. So I loved it.
It is totally true. Of course, this chapter is the Mirror of Erised, and my quote was, "She was a very pretty woman. She had dark red hair and her eyes. Her eyes are just like mine," Harry thought,
You're going to make me cry.
edging a little closer to the glass. Bright green. Exact. But then he noticed that she was crying, smiling, but crying at the same time. The tall, thin, black-haired man sitting next to her put his arm around her. He wore glasses. His hair was very untidy. It stuck up at the back just like Harry's did. Harry was so close to the mirror now that his nose was nearly touching that of his reflection. "Mum?" he whispered. "Dad?" They just looked at him smiling, and slowly Harry looked into the faces of the other people in the mirror and saw other pairs of green eyes just like his, other noses like his, even a little old man who looked as though he had Harry's knobbly knees. Harry was looking at his family for the first time in his life. A moment for Harry seeing his family. Because he hasn't even had a picture of his parents.
Right.
He's never seen his family before. And here he is. He gets to see them moving, feeling emotions, looking at him and smiling at him. And not just his parents, but his family. And see those similarities.
And he just knows. He inherently knows that this is his family.
Yeah.
He inherently knows this is his mother. He inherently knows this is his father. Like, it is special. Like it.
It truly is.
This is what sells you I think, on Harry the character
I agree. Well,
in this book.
before we get into this chapter, we of course wanted to remind you that you can subscribe to this podcast by just searching the Potterverse in your favorite podcast app and hitting that subscribe button. That way you'll get each episode new as it comes out. You can also follow us on social media by following and searching Mary and Blake. You can also head to maryandblake.com to find all of our other podcasts and blogs. And if you enjoy this content, if it's bringing you light, if it's bringing you some lumos in your time of knocks, we would love for you
Oh,
to...
look at you!
Hey.
Just like that. A winner.
That a girl.
May need to use that from here on
You know
out.
what? Hold on, no. We need. You know what you need?
What? Oh, I get it. Yeah. Makes me want to shout.
Good job.
Thank you.
That was
Thank
really
you.
good, Mary.
If that piques your interest, please head on over to jointhenerdclan.com for as little as $2 a month. It's less than a cup of coffee. You can help contribute to our media company so we can continue to make these podcasts. I've been pretty open and honest about how between this and my Minute with Mary business, this is how I'm able to fiscally contribute to our family. And it's allowing me to be able to stay home with our kids, especially in times like this during COVID. So know that joining at jointhenerdclan.com, otherwise known as outlandercastclan.com, your contributions there mean the absolute world to Blake and I. So thank you so much, and let's get into the show.
I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good.
I realized...
Well, I was going to say, by the way, Mary,
Yeah.
that is absolutely the T-shirt for this week. Be a Lumos in a time of knocks.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
2020.
2020. Yep, I'm in.
So I realized in the last chapter I never gave like a little chapter synopsis.
Yeah, well, land the plane quick.
Okay, so in this chapter, it's Christmas time. The kids are really excited to go find out facts about Nicholas Flamel. Harry's Christmas present that rocks his socks is the Invisibility Cloak. And he goes and he finds the Mirror of Erised, and then he talks to Dumbledore about it, period.
Done. Nice job, Marvin. Much improved over the past few
Over
chapters.
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. We were still talking about it 20 minutes later.
And then this, and then this, and then this.
And then this time at band camp. Oh man.
Want to know what's great about this chapter?
What's that?
It's the first time it snows.
Oh, that's right.
The first snowfall at Hogwarts. And I know so many of you who love the movies, snow at Hogwarts, it's just a really magical sight. There's a lot of different like wallpapers that people have made. It just, I don't know, it just gives you all those nice little vibes. A lot of people rewatch the movies around Christmas, for example, because it just gives you those warm fuzzies. You picture Hedwig flying around, but the first snowfall takes place, so it's pretty exciting.
What's funny
exciting to
in
me.
in this chapter and in the book, I think for the rest of the book, we are flying through time. I mean, we were just in the beginning of November, not in the last chapter, and now here we are in mid-December.
They've been doing a lot of studying.
Lots of studying. It goes to show a couple of things. One, it really tells you clearly that the author wants to keep each book located within a specific year.
Yes.
Each book will be one particular year.
I mean, you look at where you are. If you're holding your physical book, you know, how much time he spent actually at Hogwarts. You kind of get through, and it's like he's halfway through the school year, and you're halfway through the bit of the book that is his time from the journey of platform 9 3/4.
Yes.
And
now we're getting to December, and this is a big deal. But it also shows you too that things are happening at school, but they're happening in a way that is organic. It's not just like, okay, every week there's this big major thing. There was a troll, and all of a sudden the next week it was Harry, and then all of a sudden the next week Harry getting jinxed, and then the next week all of a sudden it's this, and then the next week it's that. It's like, no, there's a good month and a half where nothing happens, and it's just not relevant to what the story is trying to tell, right? So it's not important enough to know that they're just studying. You can infer from this chapter that the wheels have been turning with Harry, Ron, and Hermione, you can infer that their friendship is burgeoning, and you can infer that they have a common goal, which is, who the hell is Nicholas Flamel?
Yes.
Right? That is the key to what makes their friendship really work.
What's interesting, they've got this huge mission, like you said, who is Nicholas Flamel.
Yes.
And yet they're still 11-year-old kids, like they're still having this little tit for tat with Malfoy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still enjoying the fact that the Weasley twins bewitched snowballs to hit Quirrell in the back of the head, which I just think is such a satisfying moment to know that in actuality, Fred and George were pegging Voldemort with snowballs.
Yeah, right.
Little did they know.
But it's important because it informs their friendship. This journey for Flamel in the information. We talked about this a couple of chapters ago, where you hate when authors or showrunners or whoever force relationships on you that aren't organic. In particular, it was when Hermione was trying to stop them from going to the midnight duel. It was an organic way to get Hermione into this troika.
Yeah.
Now we have something that 11-year-olds develop friendships and they just have them, and that's what happens in real life. But in a book sense, in a story sense, there has to be something that unites them, and that again is Nicholas Flamel, the pursuit of that knowledge. And what does that mean for each character? What it means for each character, I think, is really purposed well when they're at the library. And we'll get there in a minute. But it shows you that Harry wants to discover this because he thinks he's meant to discover it. Ron, eventually you find out that he wants to stand out. He wants to be something more than what his brothers were, or he wants someone to recognize him. And Hermione, I think, takes it as a personal insult to her intelligence that she cannot figure out who Nicholas Flamel is.
And she has to leave for the Christmas holidays. Granted, she's excited to see her parents, but Ron and Harry are going to be staying at Hogwarts over Christmas time. Ron's family is traveling, and Harry does not want to go home to the Dursleys. I mean, let's stay at this magical castle,
no.
okay?
Yep.
But yeah, Hermione tells him, like, okay, guys, keep looking because I'm going to be out of here.
Can we talk about the Dursleys' present to Harry?
Oh, my gosh. So he gets a total of 3 Christmas presents, which is...
Yes.
Oh, no, actually 4.
4, yes.
Yeah.
Wait, no, is it 4? Yes, it is. It is 4 because he gets one from Hermione, he gets one from the Dursleys, he gets one from Dumbledore, and he gets one from
Hagrid.
It is Hagrid. Yes, that's right.
Did you say the Weasleys? Yeah.
Yeah,
So he gets
it's
the
Hermione,
sweater.
Dumbledore, Weasleys,
Dursleys.
and Hagrid. 5 presents.
Oh, nice.
5 presents.
Nice.
Yeah. The Dursleys send him a card and said, "Yeah, here you go." And they taped 50 pence. They just tape it to the card. Yeah. It's funny because it highlights the fact that they still feel some kind of responsibility for Harry. They still feel some kind of pull towards him, or obligation towards him. It is, even though it's the equivalent of sending like your third niece, like a check for $20 for Christmas. It's still something, right? Mm-hmm. It's still something. Like it's more than just like it's an indication.
I think they had to give him a gift. I think that was part of like the rule when they were his caretakers, to make sure that he was like cared for. Like he would get, what didn't he get for his birthday? Like a dirty pair of socks or something. I think I think part of the deal to keep that magical protection of him through the bloodline of Petunia is that they also had to give him like something as a gift. 50-cent pence.
Yeah, and he just passes it. Ron's like, "Can I have it?" "Yeah, I'd take it. Sure.
Go for it.
Whatever.
Go for it,
I don't
Ron.
care." But can we talk about Mrs. Weasley? How Molly is just legitimately the best. She's just the best at, like, she is your
mom goals.
If you were to think of like, if you were to have a definition of mom in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it should just be a picture of Molly Weasley. That's it. That's all you got.
You want a sweater? I got you.
That woman takes Harry in as her surrogate well, as her, not her surrogate son, but as her,
Just under her wing. So just see
unofficial
it.
son,
Yeah.
and gives him the same exact present that she gave to everybody.
Yeah.
And just doesn't need to give him a present. Did you ever have those? Did you ever have a friend whose mom was basically your mom?
Yes.
I did too.
I basically ate all of their food.
Yes. Yep. No, it's those kind of relationships are awesome.
They really are.
They're awesome.
You don't have any of the drama of like, you don't get in trouble with them really.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know?
They're kind of there for you.
You don't really like disappoint them.
Yeah, they're the mother figure, but like they don't have the total responsibility of
It's like being a
your mother.
young grandma.
Yes, being a young grandma is the best, probably. No, but it's also important because it sheds light on what Harry is going through when he's in this world. He doesn't want to go back to the Dursleys because they may be his family, like by blood, but they're not his family.
And you know that Christmas morning listening to Dudley open his millions of gifts is
Yes.
just like nails on a chalkboard to Harry.
Yep, absolutely.
So he chooses to stay at Hogwarts. He gets to learn about wizard's chess.
Let me amplify on one
Oh,
other thing.
yes.
Something that I think is coming out of all of this, especially at the end of this chapter, from what you read,
Mm-hmm.
Harry at the end of this chapter, when he's looking at his family, he doesn't consider the Dursleys his family. He
Mm-hmm.
sees his family in the mirror, and he says, "This is the first." And the writing says this is the first time he's laid eyes
Yeah.
on his family.
Yeah.
But I think what's more important is that Harry already has family. Just because your family is blood doesn't necessarily mean that they are family. And just because friends are not blood doesn't mean they're not family either.
Yeah.
He does have an adoptive family. It's the Weasleys, and it's everybody that's at Hogwarts.
Which he ends up also marrying into that family too.
That's true. Good point.
Nice choice, Harry. Nice choice. All right, so yeah, the holidays. He's there. He learns how to play wizard's chess. We learn a little bit how the wizard's chess actually physically battle each other, and how the sets really grow attached to the people who own them. So that was a fun little bit. And then all the food once again, how the boys were just roasting different things. I just love how the author weaves in all these scrumptious smells and tastes, so that way when you're reading, it just kind of like incorporates all these different senses. It helps you feel like you're part of this cozy, warm, yummy holiday feel happening at Hogwarts.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, the presents happen. And he gets this really mysterious package. He does. He gets a cute flute from Hagrid. He gets the sweater. But he gets this mysterious package, and it's the Invisibility Cloak.
Right.
And it says, "This was your father's. He left it to me before he died, and I wanted to pass it on to you." But it's not signed by anybody.
No. Eventually, we discover that it is Dumbledore who does give him the Invisibility Cloak, and he's already giving him one of the Deathly Hallows. Dumbledore knows that this is one of the Deathly Hallows, right?
Yes.
So he's already preparing Harry for much later on down the road in his battle with Voldemort by giving him this. It's also giving him a connection to his father, of course, and in the previous life before him. And it's no coincidence that Dumbledore does give this gift, knowing, I think, that the Mirror of Erised is going to be discovered.
He gives him the Invisibility Cloak, knowing that he's going to find that?
Yeah, I think Dumbledore knows that Harry is getting himself into things. Or at least he has an idea that Harry is getting himself into things. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he gives him the Invisibility Cloak to help aid whatever Harry is doing. And why is that? Because Dumbledore knows that Harry is on a path, and he has to have the tools for that.
I mean,
path.
he even writes in the letter, "Use it well."
Right, exactly. So implicit in that is that Dumbledore knows, and that Harry needs that as a tool.
So why do you think that this Invisibility Cloak did not blow up in the explosion of the house in Godric's Hollow when Voldemort murdered James and Lily Potter? Why do you think it was left in Dumbledore's possession?
That's a good question. Probably because It makes me wonder if James knew it was a Deathly Hallows then.
I mean, James is a descendant of the Peveril family, who
Yeah.
are the original Deathly Hallows owners.
Right.
So, I would believe that. I mean, he has an invisibility cloak. Like, it really works. So if you read the Tales of Beedle and the Bard, you can put maybe 2 and 2 together. And if
Sure.
rumor had it about the Peverils, like, your family tree. So maybe James did know that this could be one of the Deathly Hallows. I like to think that James lent it to Dumbledore, that maybe because, they were in the Order of the Phoenix, maybe Dumbledore was going on a mission and James was like, here, you can use this. I know you know about the Hallows. Like, you probably need this to go sneak around and try to capture Voldemort.
Sure. I think there's a lot at play here. There's a lot of subtext to why Dumbledore gives him this cloak, what its purpose is, and not only its purpose in the immediacy, but in the way future as well. I think something also happens here too, is that the author, at least in the beginning of this chapter, gives you full character, another entrance into full characterization via these gifts, right? So Hermione gives Harry the chocolate frogs because that's what he loves. That is something that that's what he loves. Dumbledore gives this invisibility cloak for reasons that we just discussed. Molly Weasley gives the sweater, which is a symbol of warmth and love
like a
and
hug.
care, and it's a hug, and it's handmade. It is written. It is made by her hand. It is something that she gives to her entire family every year. She is admitting to Harry that he is part of her family, and it is something that is an equal gift. It doesn't matter if you're Harry Potter. It doesn't matter if you're Ron Weasley. It doesn't matter if you're Bill Weasley. It doesn't matter if you're Charlie. It doesn't matter if you're Mr. Weasley. You're getting one of these. They are all equal in her eyes. The Dursleys give him the 50 pence. And then lastly, Hagrid gives him this flute. It is a rugged, handmade, magical flute that sounds like an owl. It is something that is earthbound. It is something that is rough and not perfect. It symbolizes Hagrid, but it also symbolizes for Harry creativity and learning to accept that part of himself. Something that Hagrid, I think, wants to help keep Harry going.
Yeah.
And I think these gifts are a huge part in the characterizations of the characters that are giving this stuff to Harry.
Very cool. Very
Not
cool.
bad,
We're
huh?
getting some clarification. Dumbledore had the cloak and the Elder Wand. Did he also have the Infinity Stone being placed in the gold? Oh, I don't know about yet. But basically, a couple people clarified that James Potter had lent the invisibility cloak to Dumbledore at that time because Dumbledore was trying to figure out if it was a Deathly Hallow.
Got it. Okay, so there you go. Not bad.
So here goes Harry. Christmas night. He's just so excited about this gift. And one of the sweetest things about it is not just that it's an invisibility cloak and he can now go anywhere in the castle that he wants undetected.
Oh, by the way, it's
But
not
that-
an Infinity Stone.
What it,
That's from Marvel. It's the
Thank you.
Sorcerer's Stone.
Sorcerers.
I'm sorry. No, the not the Sorcerer's Stone. The Resurrection Stone.
Oh my God, our brains.
I know.
Too many stones.
Way too many stones.
my goodness
Way too many nerd
gracious.
things. Hold on, I'll play it. There we go, and I'll also play this. Okay, there we go.
He's excited not just to explore, but the fact that this was his dad's cloak.
Right.
Like, makes you realize he hasn't had anything passed down to him from his dad. It's not like Petunia and Vernon had a box of like, this was your dad's stuff. This was his t-shirt. This was his yearbook. Like,
Right.
here's some of his favorite books. He didn't have any of that. So now he has this cloak that is magical, is going to allow him to go towards achieving some more of his goals. But his dad did it. So he's doing Quidditch just like his dad did. Now he gets his dad's cloak. And this is why all these different ties of family mean so much. As Harry just gets more and more enveloped into Hogwarts and into this magical world, it is home to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder what you're laughing.
I'm just laughing at the Infinity Stone.
Oh, so many nerddoms. we talked about the friendship between Hermione, Ron, and Harry, and how it is propped up by the search for Nicholas Flamel. And when I was reading this chapter, something that stood out to me was how they all approached their search for the information about Nicholas Flamel. Harry goes straight to the restricted section, which, again, if you squint, you can see it. Something is there, that something is pulling, and I want to talk about that. But it shows that little bit of side character in Harry. It gives you further characterization.
Yeah, because Hermione told him,
Right.
and he knew I want to go
Right.
in there.
But it gives you characterization without having to tell you, hey, look at me, and it's not being basic. It's giving you something without having to it's giving you something real about Harry. The same thing goes for Ron. Ron just goes and it's just picking books, random books up. Okay, yeah, sure. No, Flamel, no, okay, next book. Not even paying attention, nothing. Hermione is my bride, making lists upon lists upon lists and checking every single book. I mean, fine-tooth comb and just like making sure she has like
What if I had an Excel document?
Oh, it's color-coded, and it's like italicized and bolded. We got 1s and 2s, like guaranteed. That's
Ones that are highlighted, like, didn't have Flamel mentioned, but is on my must-read list.
She's got like so many things happening right now.
Yeah.
But I find that such great characterization. It's telling you who these people are without actually telling you who these people are. It is the fine details that the author does. These little things that she introduces that makes her writing so special. It's what makes this book work so well.
So we get Harry actually going to the restricted section, feeling like invincible, and he gets a book that is way too loud, and of course all of a sudden Filch and Snape we hear running on in because Snape has asked Filch to let him know if anybody wanders around at night, and Filch does that. So once again we're seeing this relationship between Filch and Snape,
Right.
like helping each other out. And what's interesting is that, why do you think Snape cares about people walking around at night? Because he's trying to keep his eye on Quirrell,
Oh, good point.
right?
Okay.
So
yep,
Filch
yep.
is Filch probably like never sleeps, knows everybody around in the castle, and so here's Snape being like, "Tell me if anybody." He said, Filch says, "You asked me to come directly to you, Professor, if anyone was wandering around at night."
Yep.
And somebody's been in the library, restricted section.
Yep.
So I think Filch feels like really cool because Snape is like his buddy right now, and
Right.
he likes that Snape's kind of mean and kind of tough to the other kids, and Filch is really into that. And here's Snape being like, if anyone's walking around,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to name names, but if anybody is, let me know, so he can
Right.
keep his eye on Quirrell.
One other thing that happens here too is Harry, again, I know we talked about it earlier. Harry goes straight to the restricted section, and he doesn't ask for help. He doesn't ask a teacher for help. And like, I understand him not wanting to ask Snape, but like, why wouldn't he ask Professor McGonagall? Why wouldn't he ask Professor Sprout? Why wouldn't he ask Flitwick? Why wouldn't he ask any of these people? Does he know what he's doing is inherently wrong, number one? And if he knows what he's doing is inherently wrong, what is pulling him? I feel like something is pulling him towards this restricted section. And because when he goes there, he senses that the books are whispering, knowing that someone is in there that's not supposed to be. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
And wasn't Voldemort's diary in the restricted section?
I don't know. I mean, the diary, I'll have to check because, I mean, it's with the Malfoys, who then give it to Ginny.
Yeah, you're right.
So
They give it to
I don't
Ginny. Never
think
mind.
that
You're
it was
right.
hanging out
You're
there.
right. You're right.
But
But still,
you
regardless.
You could think that the dark arts books that talk about how to make a Horcrux are speaking to Harry since he himself is a Horcrux.
Absolutely, because the Horcrux knowledge is in the
Whoa.
restricted
You just
section.
got deep, man.
I mean,
you
whoa.
just got deep. I think
You know what? I'm going to give myself. It makes me want to shout.
I mean, I'll go undeep and just say that his really smart friend Hermione was probably suggested, head on over there.
No, absolutely. Like, but what prevents her from going to the restricted section?
She doesn't have an invisibility cloak.
No,
students can't get in there.
No, but when they were in the library initially, all three of them together, she's the one making lists, and he's the one that goes straight for the restricted section.
Yeah.
Why isn't it her that goes to the restricted section?
She's too busy making her lists.
All I'm saying is, it just feels like something is there, and it feels like something is pulling him, whether it is, other Horcrux materials. The text says the books are whispering, and it's there for a reason. It's there for a reason.
Okay.
I don't know what it is yet, but it's there for a reason.
Okay. So Harry tries to escape because Filch and Snape are running around, and he bumbles around into this empty room, and it's not so empty as there is a big mirror there, just like straight up, just a big old mirror. And he sees his family. He sees his family's reflection in there. Now the words above the mirror reads, "I show not your face, but your heart's desire." That's like what it ends up meaning.
And Erised is desire backwards.
Yeah. So it's if you read the text backwards, because it says Erised, Stra, Iru, Oyet, whatever. If you read that sentence backwards, that's what it says. "I show not your face, but your heart's desire."
Right.
And this is a type of writing called mirror writing. So if you were to write things backwards,
like Redrum.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
You're perfect. So he gets to see his family, which is pretty cool, and he gets to see these physical similarities, like we talked about in the beginning of this episode. Just how it pulls at Harry so incredibly much. And what's kind of weird is that was Dumbledore in the room at this point?
No,
because Dumbledore says to him,
"Oh, you're back again."
Yeah.
Right. So Dumbledore again, the text.
Like, was Dumbledore just like creeping in the back, like watching Harry try to get this book, and then like following him around? Like exactly.
So,
you hear again when he comes back to the room, later.
So when we were saying earlier in this book, like Dumbledore is moving things, to get Harry on a path. This right here suggests that we're right. Dumbledore knows that Harry is with the Mirror of Erised. And the Mirror of Erised is in a room that it's really not supposed to be in. It's just in this classroom. It's just in this room that's random.
It's not under the trapdoor with Fluffy. It is eventually.
Right, but it's not
it's
now.
Not now.
So
So where's the stone now? Is the stone in this mirror now? Is the stone in Dumbledore's office? Are they still building this like multi-trap thing? Or is the stone already in the mirror now in this random classroom?
It could be, but again, Dumbledore knows that Harry is doing it. So that means he knows that if it is in the mirror,
Harry will understand.
Right. But not only that, he also must know that there is some confusion about Fluffy and all the things that are happening, whether it's Professor Snape or it is Fluffy getting, budged in on by the three.
Dumbledore's so 2020. Really? We don't have a real plan? We're just going to try a lot of different things and see what sticks.
We're going to throw crap against the wall and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's like when you test pasta and you take the pasta and you throw it up on the
yet.
cabinet. Nope, not ready yet.
Let's see what's up with Quirrell. I still don't know yet.
Still not sure yet.
Let's see if that fluffy trap's ready. Not ready yet. You know what it needs? A mirror.
So is he intentionally either one, moving the stone, the Sorcerer's Stone, or two, is he intentionally putting the stone in the mirror and moving the mirror all throughout the school? One, to keep it safe, but two, put it in a place that's so obvious that Harry will get to it. And when Harry runs, is Hogwarts molding itself so that Harry gets to the mirror at Dumbledore's wishes?
Like, are those stairways and hallways changing?
Right. It's not a coincidence that Harry, again, is running for his life and ends up back again in the Forbidden Corridor without even realizing where he's supposed to be.
No, he's not in the Forbidden Corridor.
Oh,
the mirror isn't in the Forbidden
Doesn't
Corridor.
matter.
Okay.
Whatever.
You're just saying.
Stats are for nerds.
Okay.
What I'm saying is he's running for his life, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden he just happens to come upon the Mirror of Erised, which is the one thing at the end of this book that will that is the climax of this book. There's no way. Either one, that's really lazy writing, which I don't believe, or two, it's there by design. And if Dumbledore knows that Harry has been there multiple times, implicit in that is that he knows that this is done on purpose. That Harry has been led there. So either it's Hogwarts as a school, as a living, breathing entity, pushing Harry towards the Mirror of Erised, or it's Dumbledore. Which do you think it is?
Both. I don't know. Jury's out.
Oh,
we
fine.
see the Grey Lady in this chapter. They pass by the Grey Lady, and it excited me. Okay. So when Harry wakes Ron up, he's like, "Guess what, Ron? You can see my family. I found this cool mirror." He wakes Ron up. They run on over. Ron, of course, doesn't see Harry's family. He sees himself alone, head boy, Quidditch captain, like all these things that Harry, who's last son in this long line of amazing and outstanding sons, he sees what he wants for, what would bring him great joy and what his goal is right then and there. So, so they go on back, and as they're walking out, it says they passed the ghost of a tall witch gliding in the opposite direction, but saw no one else. That's it. That's all we hear. But the author has come out saying that was the Grey Lady.
the Grey Lady.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. I
It's
like
that
it.
little. It's just that little.
Oh,
That's Helena Ravenclaw.
Oh, that is good stuff.
Yeah.
That is good stuff. I guess that there's something so I don't know how to. There's something so captivating about the Mirror of Erised. Not just because you get to see your innermost desires, which obviously is captivating in and of itself. I mean, to see something that is your innermost desire and just have it right there in front of you. But I find it so important that Harry goes through a journey of trying to find out information about Nicholas Flamel in a library, in books, and having no success. Yet he sees the Mirror of Erised, where he has to look within himself and gets lost within himself, and the mirror does what it is meant to do, which is show you everything that you've ever wanted, and it keeps you there. And it keeps you there to a point where everything loses its everything that is in front of it loses itself.
I mean, it says, how long he stood there, he didn't know. The reflections did not fade, and he looked and looked until a distant noise brought him back to his senses. And this is why I think Dumbledore was watching him.
Sure.
Because we hear that a distant noise brings him back to his senses. He doesn't find out what that distant noise was. And then as he and Ron are looking at the mirror together, they also hear a noise. It's actually like it says, so like they're looking at it, and Ron's like, "Oh, I'm holding the Quidditch cup, and da-da-da-da-da, don't push me." A sudden noise outside in the corridor put an end to their discussion. They hadn't realized how loudly they were talking. So, it was Mrs. Norris. But still, like, Dumbledore realizes that he's been there before. Because he says to him, because Harry then goes back, he just goes back without Ron. He's like, "I'm going to go see my parents again." And everyone's smiling. And he says, "So, back again, Harry." And then Dumbledore ends up saying, he asks him, "How did you know? How did you know that I was here?" But then Dumbledore also says, "It showed your friend Ron himself as head boy." And Harry says, "How did you know?" So Dumbledore was there like in the room, and he says you don't need a cloak to become invisible. So he was there listening to these boys talking about what they're seeing. So I agree. It's like he gave him this cloak, and maybe Dumbledore is bored. Okay, it's Christmas night. He gave Harry a really cool present. It's the invisibility cloak. He wants to see what he does with it, and Dumbledore can just be invisible by himself, so he just like moses around and follows people around. But this is where he explains, let me explain. The happiest man on earth would be able to use the Mirror of Erised like a normal mirror. That is, he would look into it and see himself exactly as he is. It shows us what we want, whatever we want. It shows us nothing more or less than our deepest, most desperate desires of our hearts. And then he tells him that the mirror is going to have a new home, and I ask you to not go looking for it again. If you ever do run across it, you will now be prepared.
Oh, so yeah, obviously it's, hey, don't touch the big red button. That's what it is. That's what that is.
But if you do, now you know how it works.
Right, exactly. So don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Don't do what you just did, because what ended up happening was that it takes Harry off of his path. It makes Harry not care about finding Nicholas Flamel. It makes Harry and Ron fight over over who gets to use it, and it drives a wedge between the two, because he's saying, what are you like? I love when Harry says, you're just going to be head boy. It's about Quidditch. It doesn't matter. I want to see my family. It's such a unique thing that happens, and that Dumbledore, I think, obviously knows the power of it, but I think he knows that Harry has to see it, because part of Harry's journey is a level of introspection. He has to figure out who he is and what his innermost desire is, because later on in the book, his innermost desire has to come out, and that is protecting,
knowing where the stone is,
knowing
yes,
where the stone
but
is.
not to use it.
Yes.
It's interesting because Dumbledore doesn't tell him, oh, by the way, that present was from me.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome for the invisibility cloak. He just, like, oh, yeah, we can both be invisible now. And Harry asks him, like, what would you see if you looked into the mirror? Which I think is such a deep question, once again, for an 11-year-old boy to be asking
Right.
of the headmaster that's caught him now sneaking around the castle. And he said, I see myself holding a pair of thick woolen socks. One can never have enough socks. Another Christmas has come and gone. I didn't get a single pair. People will insist on giving me books. And I love this. It was only when he was back in bed that it struck Harry that Dumbledore might not have been quite truthful.
Isn't it? There's a vague memory that I have is that when Dumbledore looks into the Mirror of Erised, he sees Grindelwald.
Oh.
Don't I remember that from somewhere.
Yes.
Wasn't it? What? Oh, wasn't it? Fantastic Beasts.
It might be. I don't know. I'll find out, or our friends on Facebook will help us.
I am like almost 99% sure that it's Grindelwald. That's what he sees.
Okay. We will return
Yeah,
back to this.
effort that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's I think that's
But
what it
the
is.
whole bit where it's like he said he wouldn't want a pair of socks. Now we know that Dumbledore loves knitting patterns. We know that he would appreciate a well-darned sock, so say we all, right? We
Right.
all would love a great pair of socks,
Right.
especially when it's cold.
So
But-
say we all.
Thank you. But this is Harry's first inkling that Dumbledore may not be sharing all of the truth with him.
Right, and it's funny that this also comes too, because remember, Dumbledore and Harry have not had a conversation yet. They've not had an honest conversation with each other, or they haven't had a congenial conversation like this at all. And you get the immediate interpretation that Dumbledore is this real fatherly figure for Harry immediately, like just right off the jump. Yet at the same time, Harry also knows that Dumbledore may not be telling the truth. It's such a weird and awesome juxtaposition in that relationship.
The author said that at this stage of Dumbledore's life, he saw his own family, especially his dead sister, Ariana.
Okay.
But you are correct that the Crimes of Grindelwald, he would have been seeing he and Grindelwald's younger selves
Were they doing the oath?
Yes, the blood oath.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yep. Okay. Now I remember. All right.
Ta-da!
See, now I knew that memory was in there. I had to pull it out and put it into the pensieve.
Okay. Can you take someone's perspective?
Hmm.
You got a couple of fun characters. Okay, you've got Dumbledore, you've got Filch, you've got Snape, but we just did Snape in the last episode. You have Ron, who's spending a Merry Christmas with Harry because his family's all away. You have Hermione.
I don't know. Who do I want?
I don't know who you want.
No, I think you should do it because who do I want?
I go for Ron.
I kind of want to do Ron. Want to do Ron because screw Harry.
Yeah.
Screw Harry, dude.
Well, think about how fun of a Christmas this is for Ron, okay? He's usually like, it's loud and there's tons of siblings all over the place, and he gets to be at Hogwarts with his best friend.
Right.
You know, and yes, a couple of his brothers there, Fred and George, are still there, but he's not with his annoying sister Ginny, okay, who he has to probably like follow around and like clean up after, even though she's only 10. He doesn't have his big brothers probably playing pranks on him. He doesn't have to share anything. He just gets to really enjoy his time with his best friend. And Ron is really good at wizard's chess.
Yes, exactly.
This is something he's good at.
And this is a big deal because, again, the author introducing these small things so that later on in the book, when they are playing wizard's chess for frackin' real, you already have an understanding that Ron's really good at it. And it's already a part of their wizard life. You understand that something is bigger than just the chess of it all. It's or the game of it. It's bigger. It's she introduces it very well, and I'm so thankful that she does.
Yeah.
But you know what? Screw Harry, because
What?
your family, your dead family. Yeah, I get it. Listen to me. I'm the head boy. All I want to do is just look at this friggin' mirror. You've been sitting in front of it all day yesterday, and I want to sit here for, give me like 10 minutes, man.
You know, it is so funny because Harry is born into fame. He has this natural ability to be an exceptional Quidditch player.
Sure.
He is the chosen one. And Ron is like he's actually very tall, but he's like the youngest boy in this family, and he's average in a lot of things. In most things, Ron is quite average. So it makes sense that this 11-year-old boy, it is what he wants. He wants to be great. He wants to excel it. He wants people to see him. And that might mean having to win awards or have prestigious titles because that's what he's seen of his siblings. They talk about how Charlie Weasley was a great Quidditch player. They talk about, Percy is a prefect. So he's able to see all these things that have been modeled to him from his older brothers. And some of these dreams do come true for Ron.
Yes.
He becomes head boy. He does play Quidditch. He's not the captain. He certainly would not.
But he's the keeper, and he's a damn good keeper.
Yep. That's questionable as well. He is. He's good. He's a good keeper. He is a good keeper. And he does play an important role. But this goes to show you, as we move on to the future books with this series, Ron wants to be special. Ron wants to find his place. Harry was born into his place whether he liked it or not, and he always kind of had to become comfortable with that or find his own way with that. And Ron continually tries to find his way to shine.
Veronica makes a great point here on Facebook. She says Ron and Harry desire the other person's life.
Yes.
At all times.
100%.
Yes, totally. Great point, Veronica. Excellent job.
Aside from Ginny being Ron's sister.
That'd be kind of weird. That'd be a little incesty.
Oh yeah, just a wee bit.
But it's that tension between the two of them that makes them.
It challenges their friendship.
Yeah, it makes them so strong. That tension of what each other have and recognizing that, like, Harry is sitting there looking at his family. They're not real. That's not really them. It's just, like, another thing too. I have a question of is all the family behind his parents in the mirror, even his parents. Is it just his interpretation of what his parents would be? Right? Is the mirror something that evokes the soul, or is it just showing you what you want to see?
I don't know. You stumped me there. You stumped me good. But in regards to Ron, I think, you're talking about the friendship between he and Harry. And I think that, yes, they do want aspects of each other's lives and each other's kind of strength is often the other person's weakness.
Right.
And it isn't until the latter books that they truly appreciate this, because it's not that Harry's never proud that he's the chosen one. That's what I'm saying in the Quidditch chapter previously. He's not one to gloat. He's not the one to say, yes, I'm taking the glory. Like even when he's in the Goblet of Fire, in that book, in the Triwizard Tournament, he's not necessarily super pumped. Eventually he's kind of like, well, this is kind of cool, but I'm really kind of scared and this is weird that this happened. Whereas Ron would love that. And he eventually, even in that book, finds out like these things happen to Harry and he's not happy about it. He just wants to fly under the radar.
Yep. They both, Veronica said they both desire each other's life. But the funny thing is that both of them give each other that life. Ron wants to be special. He wants to stand out. And his friendship with Harry helps him do that. The challenging from Harry pushes Ron to do things that his family probably could never do in many ways. And Harry, as he's looking at this mirror, looking at his family, Ron is right there. Ron is there with him. Yes, he wants to look at his family. I get he wants to look at his mom and dad. And again, I cried. Like, it was very powerful for me. But Ron is his family right there. He doesn't have to look at a mirror. He can see it.
It's weird because sometimes I feel like Harry is Frodo. If you were to compare characters from this and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, like the Chosen One has to really go through a lot of pain and suffering and has to kind of be okay with dying and, just kind of things happening. And then you've got, of course, Samwise, who is Frodo's friend. He's there through him with thick and thin. And I got to tell you, I like Sam better than Ron.
Because Sam never abandons Frodo.
Up.
Let me ask you this: is the Mirror of Erised the One Ring?
No.
No.
I
don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure because
I would say if there was one ring to rule them all, it would be the Deathly Hallows.
No, it would be the Horcruxes.
Are we going to have this battle? Horcruxes versus Hallows? What are we, book 7?
I know. No, but I feel like, at least in terms of this book, the Mirror of Erised is the one ring to rule them all. Because the Mirror of Erised, if we're making this connection...
You just got real deep.
I know. We're going full nerd clan right
I was
here.
just trying to say that Sam's a better friend. Potatoes. I wonder because the ring changes a person, right? By the way, let me just play this right off the jump. Nerd! Okay. The ring changes a person, right? It alters their reality. So they only see the ring. The Mirror of Erised is altering Harry's reality. So he only sees the mirror. All he cares about at this moment is the mirror. I mean, for that moment, but he is pulled away by something as simple as a sound in the distance. So I wouldn't say that it's like all encompassing. I mean, the ring literally drives people crazy. So I disagree greatly. The ring has more power over the mirror.
I don't know.
This is a fun game. Like, take nerd things and what's more important and better.
Infinity Stones or the Sorcerer's Stone.
Yes! Would the Sorcerer's Stone trump the Infinity Stone? I say no. I say Infinity Stone.
Would the Resurrection Stone trump the Infinity Stones?
Too many stones.
Way too many stones. I don't know. I think it's a good question that you bring up here.
Okay. What is my question? I've gotten really lost. My brain is mush. My mic keeps falling.
Fine, fair enough. We were supposed to be in Ron's perspective.
I tried.
We did try. We tried a lot.
Juan.
Oh,
Love
Juan,
you.
Juan. My little Juan.
Let's close this up.
No, we got some emails.
Okay.
We got some emails. Let's see. This one comes from Becky. She says, I have a pretty obvious question
I
from
love
chapter
Becky.
12.
I love Becky so much. And you want to know why?
Why?
Finding Dory.
Oh.
And one of my best friends, her name is Becky, and whenever I read it or I hear it, and it's not like in proper context of like, "Hi, Becky, how are you?" I think of Becky.
A roo Becky. A roo. I love
Becky,
the
if
shirts.
you're listening, you need to watch Finding Dory if you haven't.
I love the shirts that have the picture of Becky and it just says "Trust Becky."
I've never seen that.
That's the best. I love that shirt. Okay. Becky says, a pretty obvious question. Mary, what would you see in the Mirror of Erised? And follow-up question, do you think what you see changes throughout your life? Mary, what would you
Yes.
see?
I do believe it changes throughout your life because we know that from Dumbledore. What would I see? Okay, what you would see today, August 5th, 2020, is me in a room by myself with a big bed and a bag of Doritos all to myself, an eye mask, and some melatonin.
Eye mask and melatonin and maybe a big bag of weed.
No. This is a safe podcast for children's ears, Blake.
Sorry. You're right.
I wouldn't do that anyway. That's what I would want. That's my deepest desire at this moment, Becky.
Oh,
Simple.
man.
And concise.
Oh, man.
How about you, Blake? You're done.
Now that I already know, I've been thinking about this question all day. My deepest desire, and now I feel really bad because you just gave your answer.
Mine's awesome.
Mine is...
Yours is going to be like deep and sappy and stuff, isn't it?
Mine would be sitting next to my wife, alone, on a house, on the deck, on the ocean. And just no worries. Just nothing to do. Other
Some
than
Hakuna Matata playing.
Just sit on the deck in a house that we own on the ocean with my wife, holding hands. That's what I want.
Nope. I don't want anyone touching me.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
My children all day touch me.
Man, here I am trying to I'm thinking about this freaking thing all day, and you're talking about a bag of Doritos and melatonin.
Hey, listen, it's our 10-year anniversary in 2 days. The honeymoon's over. Mama needs a break.
Thanks, Mary. Appreciate it.
I love you. I'll hang out with you on the water on Friday.
Yeah, great. Awesome.
And then on Saturday, I want the bed to myself.
All right,
No,
so
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So if anybody else has questions for us, that you got.
Someone, if you could scroll up, is asking if we would be more upfront. Anna Ashley, go down. And Ashley says, would either of you be more upfront than Dumbledore has been in the end? Or would you have held back as much as he did? Could be a teaser for those that don't already know.
I don't know how you could tell an 11-year-old that he is a pig for slaughter.
Lamb.
Sure.
Severus says lamb.
Sure, he's a lamb for slaughter. Fine. Stats are for nerds. I don't know how you could tell him that. I don't even know how much. I really don't know how much you can tell a kid. One that you tried to protect initially.
Well, he doesn't know at this point that Harry is a Horcrux. He does know that neither can live while the other survives. He knows that much. So I don't think I'd be telling him yet because I'd be like, let me see what this Potter kid can do. Voldemort's not back yet.
Maybe.
Okay, like we're cool. Like maybe he is super duper magical, but like only one of them can live. So it's kind of like a 50-50. All right? I'm going to take some chances. But then when he finds out that Harry's a Horcrux...
But at this point, like, maybe he isn't being totally upfront, but he is, and as we discussed pretty in depth here, he is guiding things for Harry, making sure that he gets the right tools, making sure he gets put into the right places, making sure that he gets the right information.
So he can beat him.
Throughout, and you're seeing it. We just talked about it for 20 minutes on this podcast. You're seeing it right from the beginning. So
I wouldn't tell him right now.
I probably wouldn't tell him either. All right, Angela says, I had a question about the Quidditch rules because the sports fan in me is having a struggle. If you win the game when the seeker catches the snitch, why are the other people playing and getting their asses kicked trying to get the score and block goals if it doesn't matter? Is playing the game just basically a tiebreaker if neither seeker catches the snitch? If so, that is kind of weak to go through all that work and only matters that both seekers suck.
So the way that Quidditch scores, you know how like football's weird and it's like you can get 6 points if you score a touchdown, but then like 1 more point if you
For the extra point.
put the extra point,
and then 2
or you
points
can like
with a safety.
yeah, okay, it's just as crazy
or
as
3
that.
points for a field
like,
goal.
why can't we just get 1, 2, 3 points? Okay, like what's going on? So Quidditch is as bonkers as football scoring. If the people throwing the quaffles, the equivalent of like soccer in a goal, the chasers throw a quaffle through one of the hoops, they get 10 points. Whereas when the seeker catches the snitch, they get 150 points. So technically, if the game goes on really long, if that snitch is hiding and you just can't find it, if a team gets 15 quaffle goals through the goalposts, they're already at 150 points.
Right.
So you either need to score 15 or more, 15 goals to tie, but you need 16 more goals to beat the other team who has
But
the
that's
snitch.
if the other team has no score.
You need to have 16 more goals than the other team, no matter what.
Yes, yeah, okay, yeah.
16 more goals than
And
the other
the
team.
game, Quidditch will go on. I think earlier in the book they said Ron and George and
Fred.
said that, or was it Wood, said that a game went on for 3 months.
Yes.
And they had to keep putting people in and out. And getting the snitch does get the team 150 points. But that doesn't mean the team automatically wins. More than likely they will win because 150 points is 150 points. But getting the snitch only ends the game, right? So it kind of reminds me of Risk. You win the game of Risk, not because somebody controls the whole board, but because at the halfway through the deck or 2/3 the way through the deck, there's that card that says game over. So, and who is left, and whatever you count up how many countries you have in Risk, and that's the end of the game, and whoever has the most wins.
Yeah.
So the same thing goes for.
I mean, so you could think like if a team had, say, Slytherin had 170 points and Gryffindor had 0. Okay, Harry would not catch that snitch right away.
Mm-hmm.
He'd instead be kind of like guarding the snitch and keeping the Slytherin seeker away, so he could hope that his team could score 3 goals.
Yep.
And then he could catch it.
I part of me kind of thinks that I would see my mom in the mirror.
You totally would.
I part of me does, and as I was reading, I was thinking about that, and all I kept thinking of was Star Wars Episode 2 when Anakin sees his. Every time I see this scene, I sob because Anakin in Episode 2 is 18, and his mother, obviously, spoilers, dies when he's 18 in her arms, and I was 18 when my mother died, and I was 18 when that movie came out, back in 2002, whatever it was. So yeah, there was a lot of feels for me, and all I could think of was when Anakin's mother says to him, "Oh, Anakin, you're my boy. You're so handsome. I'm so proud of you." Like, oh my God, I'm getting upset thinking about it, just because I feel like that's what my mother would say to me.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but you're so handsome. I'm
say
so
that.
proud of you, and I love you, and like the whole thing, and. Just as a mother, that's what you say to your kid. Like,
Yeah.
all I could think of is that too. So,
Your mirror is much better than mine.
well, both of my mirrors are better than your Doritos and freaking melatonin.
This is what 2020's brought me to, Blake.
It's a wild night. That's gonna be the next T-shirt. It's just gonna be a bag of Doritos and a bottle of melatonin.
In an eye
2020.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Bam! Just like that. A winner!
Oh man.
Let's wrap this one up.
All right, let's go. Let's close it out. We're already an hour 2. All right, let's do it.
Hey, Blake.
Hey, Mary.
You said that we got some new iTunes reviews, huh?
We did. You better hurry up.
Oh my gosh. Well, why does this make your heart aflutter?
Just because it's we got more reviews, and they're all nice reviews, and of course we want the written ones that helps get the podcast out to the world. It's part of the word of mouth that we always try to get out there for all the listeners and for the people who are trying to discover Harry Potter and the Potterverse. So thank you very much for everybody doing the reviews. Mary, you gotta start talking because I'm vamping too hard here.
We want to thank Lil Zaza, who says entertaining. Mary and Blake are real entertainers. How blessed to find each other.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. So, yeah.
Sorry, if you feel like you're really blessed or we really, have a good show here, please go to jointhenerdclan.com and support what we do at Mary and Blake Media.
Or you can send me red Doritos, not blue, red.
And melatonin. Maybe an eye mask.
All right, guys, thank you so much once again for tuning into this episode of the Potterverse. We'll be back for you soon. Don't forget you could sign up for our complimentary texting reminders by texting the phone number 81010 and in the message @ElderOne. For now, my name's Mary.
My name is Blake.
Mischief managed. Yay! Okay, for those of you who hung out with us for those 2 episodes, thank you, troopers.
Yes,
thank
thank you.
you. This week has been absolutely wonky. For those of you who don't know, we're going through major housing renovations, which has completely upended our house, our family. If we could turn the camera around, we'd show you like all the tiles in our studio are broken. Thank goodness it didn't leak on our studio, but during our plumbing of our new bathroom,
Yes.
that all became a mess. So our kids have been a little bit of a mess. So we really appreciate your patience. Once again, getting on that texting service is going to be the best way for you to make sure that you are able to join us on the nights that we do go live, as especially now during the time of COVID, we don't have as much flexibility of 100% being on time when we want to because #kids.
That's how it works. Just kids.
Yes, yes.
Kids make it hot and they're gross.
Don't forget you can hit that share button and use the hashtag Expecto Patron. Use the hashtag the Potterverse. If you wanted to talk about this, you can share it into your stories. You can let people know that if they love Harry Potter and they want to join in on this, we would be more than happy to have them come on in as well. You can write Expecto Patronum below if you've already shared it, so we can shout you out quickly. And the next episode, Blake, you gotta fix this microphone. It's driving me bonkers, the poor thing. Nicholas Flamel, if you have questions for us that you would like us to answer on the podcast.
Yes, just email them to maryandblakemedia@gmail.com or go right to maryandblake.com. Then just hit the contact button and you will see you'll see an area to just write a message right on our website. It comes directly to me. Or if you'd like, also just save your questions for us during the live feed so we can answer them at that point.
On that note,
I'm going to have to fix that microphone.
I know. I remind you every week.
I know. Definitely going to have to do it.
Okay, guys. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we truly appreciate you. And we'll talk with you soon.
That's it. Thanks,
Bye.
guys.